No, hey. This is my show. I'm the star. And welcome into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard A. the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Hello.
It is Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, where we post videos. Latest video is a review of Ruins Magus, a VR action game. Go check it out. Give it a like, give it a comment, and then subscribe to our Patreon. Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse, where you can get loads of fun stuff, like your name in the credits, and you can vote on video topics and stuff like that. A few people just scrolled by as the video began, so go check that out. We'll be talking news. Embracer continues to be in the news. Lootboxes and Diablo continues to be in the news, and a somewhat depressing but also happy ending story about Spider-Man and people being banned from Nexus Mods, which has taken over the internet because there's been tons of stories about it. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. What have we been playing? Who would like to start?
I can start since I only got one, I guess.
Go for it.
I started playing Naraka Bladepoint for PC.
Okay.
So Naraka Bladepoint.
Oh, you had problems with your PC. Did you get those fixed?
I did. I had to reinstall Windows.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah. I couldn't get.
Did you have to buy Windows again or just
No.
reinstall it?
So thankfully, this laptop is linked with my account.
Okay.
So I just had to log in, and they were like, "Hey, you're good." And I was like, "Oh, fine with me." Otherwise, I wouldn't have cared. I'd have that activate Windows thing in my corner. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does suck if you need footage though.
Oh yeah. I'll just change the resolution.
Your video's just cropped weird.
Yeah, I fixed that. It was annoying.
logo
So
there.
it was my OS. So I installed a new hard drive, and somehow not the boot order, but it would no longer boot from my OS. And this new hard drive wasn't to replace the OS. It was just another hard drive.
Just supplemental.
Yeah. So going through it, I did everything I could, even checking the boot order was correct. I deleted all of the boot orders, so it was only the OS, and it still wouldn't boot. And then I changed the legacy settings to UEFI and all the other stuff you're supposed to do. Nothing would happen. And then I would try to install Windows, and it told me that the style of hard drive I had was different, like MBR and GT something. There was a difference between those two types of hard drives, the way it's formatted. But even though I switched all the settings so it could read both of those, it still wouldn't do it. So I just had to reinstall Windows. Anyways, playing Naraka Bladepoint, which is a ancient Chinese melee battle royale type game. And me and my friends decided to pick it up. Funny story beforehand, we kept running into, I don't want to say issues, but just I would do something, and then we'd find out something eventually would, let me restart that story. Jesus. Play the goddamn thing.
I like to do the cha-cha.
Okay, go.
We're talking about playing PC games all together because all my friends now have PCs. So we can play together. Great. So we were looking at Naraka because they had Xboxes, but Naraka came out on Xbox only for the series consoles, though, not for the old Xbox One. So now we're like, hey, let's try out that Naraka. And we did. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. Screw it. Let's start playing. And my friend's like, you're going to do it? All right, I'll do it too. So we both bought it. I played a little bit of it, and I was like, okay, this is great. And so when you go in, of course, since it's a battle royale, there is not necessarily... There's a lot of microtransactions and stuff, and the way you level up and the way you get abilities and rewards and stuff. And so they, of course, have a huge online social media presence. So they're like, hey, link your social medias or whatever. We'll give you rewards. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care, So link a bunch of stuff. Of course, that brings me to their Twitter page. Their Twitter page is like, hey, guys, just let you know, tomorrow we're going to be maintenance all day. And I was like, okay, so we just bought this game.
It just works.
Right. Just bought this game and can't play it. All right, that sucks. So then I dig a little bit deeper, and then it's like, oh, well, we're doing maintenance because it's the first year anniversary. So we're just getting ready for a new character, new stage, and then new celebrations and stuff.
Okay.
Okay, cool, great. Next day, we wait, maintenance ends, I start looking up. I start playing by myself. You know, my friends were gonna hop on later, and then I just log back onto the Twitter, and they're like, "Hey guys, thanks so much for being here for a year. Just let you know, starting today, it's gonna be a free to play weekend." So I didn't have to buy the game. You know, I could have tried it out. And if you do decide to buy the game, it's half off. So I was like, oh. So I ended up having to, like, at this point, I had over 2 hours played. So I contacted Steam real quick, and they had a selection, thankfully, for it went on sale. So I just was like, hey, look, like, I just bought it yesterday. It went on sale. I know I have over 2 hours, please. Within an hour, they're like, yeah, sure, okay. And they gave me my refund, so I just rebought it, which is great. Anyways, moving on to Naraka Bladepoint. Naraka Bladepoint is a hero battle royale brawler set in mystical ancient China with Chinese and Japanese characters, but you have a lot of customization options as far as your character goes. You have different heroes that have different abilities, but the main gameplay elements are kind of a hack and slash. So you have different weapons like pole arms, swords, great swords, nunchakus, and a bunch of melee weapons. And you have the ability to like counter people. And like if you hold a button, you'll do like charge up moves and attack them in different ways, either faster with more power, or you'll just pull off different combos. Overall, the game is, for the most part, set up exactly like Battle Royale. So there are different modes, and the main one is the survival mode, which is the Battle Royale. It's 60 players. You don't get dropped into a map. You choose where you want to spawn, and it just puts you there. So you don't have to, waste the time figuring out where we're going to drop. I mean, you do have to figure out where you're going to start on the map, but there's no like trying to parachute to get to that place. Wherever you choose you want to go, that's where you go. On the map, however, when you do that, there are areas like they kind of force you to spawn in a place where they want you to. So like most of the map will be grayed out, but like this area will be open, so you can like spawn there wherever the circle decides. Make your way over there. You have your weapons can be, of course, gray, blue, purple, and gold for like better stats and better damage, or what's that word? I'll use the word longevity because they can deteriorate over time the more you use them. Sure. So you'll have to, And so if you have like a weapon kit, you can restore its original operating ability. And whatever.
You can repair it.
Yes. Thank you. Look, I've already told you about my day before this podcast, so you can.
Richard works retail.
Do that. You can do that all day, but and of course you also have armor that you can get. Same deal. It's a battle royale set up exactly like that. I do like it way more because of the fact that there is now. Not that you can't think in a first-person shooter, but I feel that with like Fortnite, now that it doesn't have a build mode and other games like it, of course, there's a guy point and shoot. In this one, you're kind of going toe-to-toe with somebody who has a particular moveset that you kind of have to watch out for, and then use your counters effectively or your abilities effectively. And of course, there are people who can heal. There are people who can just cause straight-up damage or provide buffs to characters. The characters themselves are very well designed, and they all look really awesome, especially if you're into kind of like the Chinese like mythologies and stuff like that. There's a lot of customization options. You can change their hairs, you can change their skin colors, and then you can change like little accessories that they have on them. You can also change the way the weapons look. Of course, that's not too different than other battle royales that are out there either. Beyond the battle royale aspect, there are actually a lot of other modes. There is a kind of free-for-all mode where you kind of just go into a circular arena, and it's just 3 teams of 30 people just going at it. Like, you got, like, I think 10, 15 minutes to just get as many points as you can with, like, kills and deaths.
The biggest big team battle.
The biggest big team battle. Well, it's kind of a smaller big team battle, but a big team battle. There's also one that I discovered that was, like, 16 teams of 2, and it's another one of those like battle ones, not battle royale, but anyways, your ultimates are like your abilities are turned off, so it's just like straight up skill if you wanted to do it that way. There's also a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they do these things in like very time slots. Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, you have this mode where it's kind of like, I'll use Horde mode as an example, but just you and 2 others, team of 3, will drop in. I always say drop in.
Spawn in.
We'll spawn in. And they actually have like demons and stuff like that. And so you'll go to these areas and defeat the demons that are in that area and unlock the chest in order to get to the boss that's in the center. And your character, whoever you choose between the 5 that they have available, you can level them up as you play, as you complete the levels, and then your armor or your weapons will improve over time. So it's kind of like the later Gears Horde modes where you'll like either improve the damage to your guns or your characters and what they can do eventually. But I think since I bought it, which was on last Thursday, it's been like 4 or 5 days. And I've already put like 15 hours into it.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. So
did it come out this year? Or was it?
It came out last year.
Because it was the 1-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Duh. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. It came out last year. So that was, but yeah, it was always something that I had on my radar. But I guess I didn't, I knew it was Battle Royale style game, but it's pretty much very similar to all the other formats out there.
Okay.
Or BR. But I think it's really neat, especially for like $10, whatever.
Okay, cool. Connor,
Yes.
would you like to share a sad story?
About Disco Elysium. I encountered a game-breaking bug in Disco Elysium.
Oh, no.
No.
Yes. It is a well-documented bug, and it's been known about for about 5 months, so hopefully there's a patch sometime soon.
Is this on the Switch version or?
I saw it on Steam forums too, so.
Is it the Final Cut version of the game that has this?
Yes.
It feels like the game came out in 2018. So it feels like if this, sorry, talk about the bug.
Anyway.
Because it's a major bug.
So there is a character that you have to talk to towards the beginning of the game to progress the story. The bug is, once the conversation ends, you don't leave the conversation like window. Like the dialogue boxes and everything stay up and all button inputs cease working.
Oh, okay.
And the only way to escape this bug is to press the home button, close the software. And it sucks because, well, I have to talk to this guy to continue the story.
Sure.
There's no way around it. So even if I do all the, the side quests and everything in this area, this is like towards the beginning of the game. So it's kind of part of like the longer form tutorial of like learning how to play the game is wrapping up with talking to this guy, and you can't get past it. So until a patch comes out for it, I'm done with Disco Elysium.
That's too bad. And that's so weird that that a game that's been out this long has a game-breaking bug like that I'm only hearing about right now.
Yeah.
And that it's on PC too, apparently. That's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Or at least people were just reporting it on Steam. I don't know if it was the Steam version and they were just trying to get a hold of the devs that way.
Okay.
But the first post I saw about it was posted 5 months ago, so got that going for me.
I'm sorry, no fun.
Anyway, I was talking with a coworker, and they were talking about how much fun they were having in Elder Scrolls Online, and it was on sale. So I'm like, I'll pick it up, I'll try it, and it's your run-of-the-mill MMO, nothing too exciting. And then I found the fun.
Oh,
there is a card game in the game. The card game is really fun. I have put about 12, 13 hours into Elder Scrolls Online.
Sure.
About 8 hours of that has been this card game.
Okay.
I really don't know how to describe it other than it's combative capitalism.
Okay, interesting.
Because you generate money each turn with certain cards that generate money, and you generate power, and this power can turn into prestige. You're trying to get up to 40 prestige to start the end game, or 80 prestige in one turn to finish the game. But the prestige also, or the power also affects your opponent rather. So it can prevent them from gaining power this turn by playing certain cards that have power. Anyway, long story short, it's really fun. It starts you off with half the decks. So, and the decks are based on like in-game lore, like in-universe lore. And they affect how you play. One is generating money, just keep on building up the money, capitalist unite. Another one is seeing into the future with the what's that? Sijic order from the Skyrim's Mage Guild questline. And a few that are, I think, either an older Elder Scrolls game. I know one is in an older Elder Scrolls game. It's from Morrowind. But the other ones may just be from Elder Scrolls Online. Anyway, super fun game. And I'll probably just keep playing Elder Scrolls Online just for this card game. Luckily, it's free to play.
Hooray.
Well, not free to play, but you have to buy the game. But there's no subscription model. So hey, I got a new digital card game I can play.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
You should get a Witcher on the Switch, and instead of hunting monsters, just go around doing the Gwent quest lines. Yeah. Okay, so I've played quite a bit. I picked up Madison, which I'm not sure if you guys have seen Madison. It's a horror game that came out.
I saw it because my PlayStation app informed me.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. It is heavily inspired by PT. The legacy of PT is insane because a lot of games have it's almost a trope now. The photorealistic graphics, you walk into a hallway of a house and that's where the horror game starts. Like, it's almost a trope now. But it's very inspired by PT. And it was pretty fun. It wasn't that long. It was long enough though. If you are not a fan of jump scares, you won't be a fan of the game because the game has jump scares all over the place, all the time. It got to the point where I would jump at a jump scare here or there. I'd get goosebumps every now and then from a jump scare. And then toward the end of the game, I was just walking past jump scares. Like, it was like, well, what scene is, I'm trying to think of a scene in a movie where, like in The Grinch, when he like scares Cindy, he's trying to scare Cindy Lou and she just kind of laughs at him, It's the same kind of thing. I was just walking through a house and some like zombie thing jump scares and appears and disappears for a split second and I'm just like walking right past it because I've seen the same thing happen so many times.
Scene in the SpongeBob episode where the Flying Dutchman moves in with him.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But the game is about a demon that possesses a person, and you're not really sure what's happening, but as the game goes on, you kind of unravel the story of why this is happening and what the demon's trying to do and stuff like that. The best part of the game are some of the performances. Luca is the main character. Luca's voice actor does just a phenomenal job. His lines are written really well. He reacts to the environment around him to the point that it gets kind of silly because, and I think this is tough to write, because if you have a character who's just going through a horror game without reacting to anything, kind of awkward, but at least you don't have to imagine how someone would react to these absurdly terrifying things, right? Right. And then if you have somebody that does react, you have to figure out how to do that. Resident Evil gets away with this because they just have a character who is hammy and funny, and Ethan, who I was
looking for his name. Not
necessarily comedic, but he's kind of a, fuck you, man, like that's Ethan. Right?
Partially comedic.
But Luca reacts to the stuff around him, and it gets to the point where some of it's a little silly because Luca will see hallucinations, weird things happen to him, and then Luca will you'll go through a new part of the game and you'll get to a new location and he'll say, "How did I get here?" It's like, okay, dude, we're past asking questions about how you're getting to these places. At this, like, this is like, I'm sure you're still confused, but like, we're past, like, at this point, you have been to places that shouldn't exist. You're 6 hours into a horrific experience, so it's kind of a silly line, but that's a bit of a nitpick. There's probably my favorite performance is a priest, and you find these tapes. And you put the tapes into a tape player, whatever. And it's just this priest talking. And the priest is describing what's going on. And it's actually really, really creepy. Because it's just a incredibly well acted old man. And his name is Priest Thomas. And he talks about the demon as if it's... it's kind of tough to describe. He kind of talks about it like it's scientific, right? So he talks about it like a parasite. He's like, the demon. Demons like this attach themselves to a person and they begin to feed off of them. And they do this by, and he's sort of describing what's going on. And that's how you kind of learn that you're dealing with a demon. Really well done, really creepy. And I enjoyed it, but it really does lean on jump scares, which can be which can be a little annoying. Some of the scares in the game are like confusing. And I think horror is a really delicate balance, because if you play run and hide horror games, you're running from a monster and that's scary. You get, but once that monster kills you 2 or 3 times, then it's just annoying. You just want to get past this part so you can continue on, right? And games like Alien Isolation, I think, while Alien Isolation has its many imperfections, Alien Isolation's open-ended emergent design got away with that because it gave you a lot of leeway. I once wrote this in my video about Alien Isolation. This is one of my proudest lines I ever wrote, was that the alien is easy to evade but difficult to escape, right? Because you had all these things. You had your flamethrower, you had noisemakers, so you could distract it, escape it, or avoid it, go to the other side of the room, but it was always going to be sort of hovering around you, right? And so it gave you room for mistakes, but if you made too many mistakes, it'd eventually kill you, whatever. But then some horror games where, you're a completely defenseless protagonist and all you can do is run. Once the monster catches you, it's just not scary. It's just boring. Bluebird Team does this in The Observer, which is a similar horror game, but there's a part in The Observer where it's a run and hide horror sequence, and it's just really painfully generic, and it's just not scary, and it's just annoying because you want to continue on with the story. You don't want to do this forced run and hide sequence. In Madison, they do a good job being unpredictable with what's going to happen next. Jump scares happen all the time, but you really don't know what's going to happen next. And I will say the way they do run and hide is interesting, because instead of there being an enemy that's constantly running at you, the enemy will appear and disappear really quickly, and then appear and disappear, and it's a little bit closer to you.
Oh, okay.
And as long as you keep moving, it won't catch up with you. But if you stop, or if you turn into a corner and you're looking for a door, the enemy will capture you right there. So, but it only happens, there's only like 2 or 3 times where you have to avoid an enemy like that. The rest of the game is puzzles, creepy stuff, but there's not a whole lot of like fail states or something where you can die. So I would recommend it if you enjoy horror games. If you don't like jump scares, I would not recommend it. And yeah, so playing more Baldur's Gate. The only thing I can say about Baldur's Gate is that it has aged like a fine wine. I don't know what they did in the enhanced edition, but Baldur's Gate is phenomenal. It is excellent.
2 words. Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. It's really, really good. So I'm still playing that, having a ton of fun. You can transfer your character from Baldur's Gate 1 to Baldur's Gate 2. So I'm going to have 200 hours with this character, which I'm super excited for. It is difficult.
Yeah.
And it can be very mean, but it is very good. And then one other game. So I upgraded my PC a bit, and so I've been messing around with some games. And I launched Cyberpunk, and Cyberpunk looks a lot better, runs a lot better. The updates have made it better. And man, I know I've said this before, but I played some Cyberpunk, and you can see it. Like, you can see what they wanted to do, right? I had a mission where... So Netwatch, right? Netwatch is like digital police that guard the cyberspace, right? And you meet this Netwatch agent, and he looks really cool because he has like a suit and tie on, so he kind of looks like a police or an FBI agent. But then he has all his Netwatch implants, so it's like his neck is metal, his hands have like little buttons on them and stuff like that. So he looks cool as hell. But anyway. You approach him and you have a little dialogue, and you have to make a choice. And the choice that I made did not end up something bad happened. I don't want to spoil it. I know Cyberpunk came out like 2 years ago, but I think a lot of people are like me, where they've waited for updates before they've gone into it and played it more. But anyway, the choice I made was bad, but how it played out was just super awesome. And and man, when Keanu Reeves is on in that game, oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. He appears out of the corner and he's like, he's got a cigarette. Who the fuck's this guy? Like, it's perfect. Like when everything in Cyberpunk comes together, it gives me chills. Like, it's like, this is so and then you hop on your bike and you go to some other quest and you're speeding down neons. But the problem is you're speeding down over a rail, and you hit a car and you clip through the car and you're fine. You're like, God damn it, something like that. But man, They completely redid the character, the character tree, the leveling up tree. So if you log back into your game, all your skill points are gone, and you have to redistribute them. Which I was fine with. They added a few other things, but yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get back into Cyberpunk because I played a few missions and it was just like, it's too bad that the game released in the state that it did. And in some ways you can tell that I don't know if it's not finished yet. Maybe this is the state it should have launched in. Maybe that's where it's at. But you can just see the direction. You can see the vision. There is one point where you enter a room and there's a character that is dead, and you pick this character up, and as you exit the room, there's another character who's making a call to the police, and it's choreographed so excellent. So that's what I wanted to say about Cyberpunk. It is too bad the way that it released, and
thank God the Cyberpunk TTRPG exists.
Yeah, Tabletop, which I have in my room, just 20 feet away. Yep. And I need to learn how to play. Anyway, yeah, you look like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think that if it was released in the state that it is currently, there probably, and this is just musing, but there probably would have been, not necessarily collective, but a lot of people probably would have been like, well, it's a really big world. There's bound to be some stuff that happens, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like Skyrim. Skyrim is still, to this day, there's tons of shit in that game that goes wrong. But it's just like, it's a huge world. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, blah, blah, blah. Yep. But yeah, no, the unplayability of the first 1.0 is just unfortunate. One day, maybe I'll get to it.
I'd recommend it. But when Cyberpunk, I think Cyberpunk, when it released, I think was interesting because it clearly was not finished. And it clearly wasn't in an unacceptable state for commercial release. But at the same time, you did have the people that were like, well, blah, 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 excuses. Of
course.
But clearly, this was something different than when Bethesda releases something, Or I remember a long time ago when Halo 3 released and you played Team Slayer, it was always shoddy snipers. It wasn't just Team Slayer, it was sweaty 420 Twitch streamer shoddy sniper bullshit, right? And that infuriated 14-year-old Tyler because I just wanted to play Halo 3 Slayer, not this gimmicky game. But Halo 3 was finished at the time. It was a completed game. So it's like, you can talk about games having big hiccups or portions that are bad when it released, but Cyberpunk was something else, something totally different. And yeah, I think the state that it's in now is probably, which is funny because Stephanie Sterling released a video before Cyberpunk saying Cyberpunk should be delayed 3 years. And the video was partially joking, dead on correct, because here we are almost 3 years later, and now it's in a state where I'd say, I haven't played the entire game, so I don't know how many bugs there are and stuff like that, but I definitely feel like it's much closer to like a full release, commercially acceptable edition. Okay, are we ready to hit that ad?
Real quick.
Yes.
One thing that I wanted to bring up about you playing Baldur's Gate is I love the fact that you're playing Baldur's Gate, and I love even more that you have like zero knowledge of D&D outside of like
very little.
Yeah,
I've played with you before and stuff,
but but we were having a conversation today, and you're like, "Is Baldur's Gate actually part of D&D?" I'm like, "Yes, it's actually." Is this place actually part? Yes, that place is also actually part of D&D.
Because D&D is weird because there is a canon.
There is a canon setting.
World, right? And
Faerun.
Is there a canon story? As Richard dies behind our conversation.
I'm not dying. It's just
There is a canon like story
I'm kidding,
line.
buddy. I'm kidding. Okay, sorry, Connor.
I'm gonna go back to Waterdeep.
There is like a canonical story line, but it's very light because of people who played the tabletop RPG. But the setting is like an actual thing, and it's beautiful seeing you get excited that these places that you're going to are actually part of D&D.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, like a large part of like
Faerun.
The first like runs like were small instant stories, right? Like I mean, I'm playing the winter one.
Oh, Icewind Dale.
Icewind Dale, yeah, I'm doing Icewind Dale, and that's like a self-contained story, like kind of. So there are stories in the D&D world, but by and large, it's do yourself.
Yeah, and of course you could just make up your own thing. Correct? Yeah. Okay.
And then there's some people who are just like, yeah, I don't care if you have an otter, merchant.
Sure.
Well, I mean, Spelljammer just released, and it's Age of Sail D&D in space. So, yeah, I am excited for it. I bought the collector, well, not the collector's edition that has like the alternate art, but like the box set that comes with the 3 books and the Dungeon Master's Guide. Yeah, it's a really nice DM screen. It's blues and purples. It's got a space whale on it.
We're not here to talk about DM screens.
Dude, space whales?
Space whales.
I like fire whales. I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan. Hit the ad.
Like water whales.
You.
I'm a Genshin fan.
We want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this episode. They have been silently supporting us since the very beginning, and we felt it was time to give them some love. The like and share buttons have been at our side since episode 1 of the podcast. They can be found just beneath this episode. Please give them a click, it helps us greatly. If you're feeling lucky, click the bell icon to enter for a notification anytime we post new content. You may be surprised by what you get.
Embracer has purchased the Lord of the Rings rights and a bunch of other stuff. Middle-earth Enterprises, which owns the rights to the games and the movies, is now under the Embracer Group, along with Tripwire Interactive. They made Red Orchestra, Killing Floor, Maneater. Limited Run Games, which sells limited edition collectors editions of like games and stuff like that. And another PC/console gaming company that Embracer didn't name yet for, quote, commercial reasons, end quote. And then, of course, there's a few more. While not disclosing individual costs, Embracer says the full cost could come to $788 million.
Embrace these paychecks.
They can't keep getting away with this.
I know, I agree. This is I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, they're a monopoly, you got to stop them. But it is worrisome. It's very worrisome, especially something like this, seemingly coming out of nowhere when they had just recently bought.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is they've spent $1 billion now,
right?
And they got so much with obviously you should get a lot for $1 billion, but with the IPs they bought, they should be spending more than $1 billion.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. in some regards, they got quite a steal. Out of a lot. I am very surprised that they picked it. Like, what happened to Warner Brothers wanting to keep Middle Earth? You know,
I have no idea.
It's very weird that
I have no idea.
These big companies are kind of just letting these seemingly bigger franchises like kind of go. Like, particularly Tomb Raider is just, I understand this isn't the 90s anymore, but Tomb Raider was like incredible powerhouse in the 90s. And even then it seemed like, you know, once again, it could have been a very good series, but Square Enix had a fumble that, Embracer picked them up. And so now, you know, God, there's a lot that they have gotten in this last half year. And, yeah, it's just simply worrisome.
I think that's basically the main takeaway.
Unfortunately, exciting too.
It is, because the franchises and the developers that they've bought into are, well, I want to say are known for, but I think if you looked at a couple months ago when we talked about Embracer, I looked at some of their financials and they talked about Metro Exodus and they called it the evergreen Metro Exodus because Metro Exodus has just sold really, really well. Yeah. So if, you know, to me, and I may be reading into this too much, but when I think of Embracer's, the studios that Embracer has and the games that are selling really well for Embracer, it's games like Metro Exodus. Now they have Deus Ex. Now they have Tomb Raider, blah, 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 blah. So all that stuff is single player oriented. It's not FIFA. It's not bullshit like that. So that, I think, you know, and that's why we're talking about Embracer, besides the fact that they're buying everything, as opposed to when, you know, Take-Two bought Take-Two bought Zynga, whatever.
Yes.
Because it's like, who gives a shit? That was about microtransactions. That's no innovation. That's not going to change. That's just, you know, how do we sell a box to a 10-year-old kid on his iPhone? Like, that's all that transaction was about. But there seems to be like, we're going to take these IPs that are collecting dust because of mismanagement at Square Enix, and we can do something with that. And that's exciting. Their game archive is exciting. But yes, it's like, it's kind of like if there was a game archive on the Death Star. It's like, okay, it's great that it's there. I'm just afraid what the entire thing can do, you know? Yeah. Because corporate conglomerates like this are not good, to put it, you know, to oversimplify it, I guess.
There's also a problem with gathering so much, such a short amount of time. And I'm going to use my modded Switch as an example. Like when I modded my Switch, I have a 250 gigabyte memory card in there. And it was just kind of like, what am I getting right now? Like, what am I doing? And I just started loading it up. And eventually it got to this point where I was just like, what am I doing? I haven't even started any of these.
Sure.
And now that I have so much, I can't decide or I can't focus. So having all of these franchises, there are definitely the important ones. We've already named them, you know, Tomb Raider, et cetera, et cetera. But how many of these franchises are we going to get? Are they going to acquire and then simply forget about or leave dormant? Because there's not enough proverbial pie to go around.
Sure. And the worst case scenario is something where these studios start to die off because they shuffle things around. They try to, you know, something like Tripwire Interactive. Tripwire Interactive isn't a huge company, but what they do, they've done well, right? With Red Orchestra, with Maneater. I think they publish and develop. I think some games they've published. I don't think
Killing Floor is them too.
Yeah, Killing Floor. So they're, you know, I want to say they're a PC main publisher / developer, and they have games out on consoles, but I think they're like PC first. I could be wrong on that. But the point I'm trying to make here is you have all these studios that are doing a thing, right? And if you try and shoehorn them into, you know, if you try to give them an Anthem, then the result could be the same because they're not studios that have done something like that in the past. But if you approach it in a different way, if you approach it like, you know, like Microsoft says they approach things where it's hands off. If you go to, I forget who makes Metro, 4A Games, I think. If you go to 4A Games and you say, hey, make your next Metro because Metro Exodus sold well, it was good, so you go make whatever you want to make next, and they make a good game, then that's a sustainable business model right there. But again, like, the idea of Superman is cool, but the prospect of Superman is terrifying because it's somebody with all that power, right? So like that's what Embracer is. Embracer is Superman. It's like, oh, that's cool, laser eyes. You can fly almost the speed of light. You can carry tons of weight and save people. That's also terrifying because we have no way of stopping you.
Because
you could have
Homelander.
Because Homelander from The Boys. You could literally be evil Superman or, yeah, exactly. So that's what's scary is you don't know if this is going to be Superman. You don't know if this is going to be Anthony Starr blowing people up on The Boys. But yeah, people have talked about the Lord of the Rings extended universe stuff. I don't know how any of that works because I don't know how the rights are split up. Like, because Amazon's making a TV show, so is that Embracers now? Like, I don't understand how that works.
They can also maybe just take in buying the rights, they could have just looked at the contract and been like, we'll keep the same deal.
Something like
whatever.
that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a legal.
Yeah, and I have no
expert,
idea if it's the same with games. I don't know. The other point I think we should make is the games industry has been, past few years, there's been an upheaval of working conditions, of people talking about toxic workplace culture, talking about how do we reduce crunch and stuff like that. And at this time, Embracer has just, like at a grocery store, you just slide your hand across the table and tons of stuff going to your basket. That's what Embracer has done. So something that if, I don't remember their CEO's name, but if I had them across from me, I'd say, hey, we've had all this stuff go down at Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, Sony, name Riot, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are responsible for all these companies now. What are you doing to make sure that, in 2 years, we're not going to get some story about toxic cultures festering at these studios when they came under your umbrella.
Right.
Just like the questions Microsoft has had to answer about Activision Blizzard, I think it's similar here, even though I'm not sure if, off the top of my head, I don't think any of these studios have any kind of stories like that about them. But the point is that could exist, and I think that's a risk you would have to be ready to mitigate, to work on, to dig out if you were to buy all these companies. I think we're all in the same boat. I don't even want to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'd rather that these companies remain separate and do their own thing. Because, all it takes is one executive to go, why don't we have loot boxes? And then all of a sudden, that's the end of that game or something like that. So
I looked up Embracer to get the name of their CEO. And then I scrolled down a little bit and noticed the companies that have direct subsidies from them. And like, there are some interesting ones, like Dark Horse Media.
Oh, really?
And THQ Nordic.
Yeah, THQ Nordic, yeah.
I completely forgot that existed.
Yeah. Well, don't they have a new name now, or?
No, THQ Nordic. Oh, GmbH, formerly Nordic Games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Nordic thing always confuses me because I never remember what is what. Anyway, I think you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't remember. We ready to move on?
Yeah.
No loot boxes are going to be in Diablo 4.
Should we have like an audience like cheer when we say something like that?
Do we have any sounders close to?
I mean, I was just musing.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
This confirmed by Blizzard, Diablo 4 will be a full price game with a battle pass and cosmetic only microtransactions that don't have in-game effects. We can do our own thing. Like,
with the
smart motherfucker.
That's pretty close.
The skull from Halo when you get a headshot, and it's the kids and the street.
The grunt birthday party.
Grunt birthday party. Yeah. We'll get on that stat. Richard's our ideas man. There will also be an in-game currency. So let me rewind here. This confirmed by Blizzard. No loot boxes in Diablo 4. Diablo 4 will be a full-price game with a battle pass and cosmetic-only microtransactions that don't have in-game effects. There will also be an in-game currency you can use to buy skins. In company documents, Blizzard producer of product Kevin Clark said, quote, cosmetics give players even more options to customize the visual appearance of their characters. Nothing offered in the shop grants a direct or indirect gameplay advantage. So while many of these may look like powerful pieces of gear, they have no in-game stats. End quote.
Hey.
Does that matter to us? Because I still think they're in the wrong.
What's that?
So, okay. No. Microtransactions, I think on some level, are a necessary evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think because we know about how volatile the games industry is. So if you're a small company and you sell microtransactions, specifically cosmetic microtransactions, that's fine. If you're somebody that buys microtransactions, you're fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, if you're a company that doesn't necessarily need it to sustain a business and you can just make a game, because cosmetics are a part of a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something that people really care about. You know, in the Souls games, people will take the cosmetics that they like the most, even though their stats suck, but they want their character to look a certain way, so they'll take those stat hits. And then you have people that are the opposite, where they won't wear pants because it gives them some kind of bonus or something like that.
Or will only wear a bucket on their head.
Sure. So the point I'm trying to get to is I'm glad that they don't have microtransaction. They're not going to have
Loot boxes.
But I will never not be mad about microtransactions because I don't think Activision Blizzard is in a spot where they need them for Diablo 4 to be a monetizable product. But that doesn't mean they're not a necessary evil, or that may be too dramatic.
Well, yeah, no, that's probably the right phrase, because you would have a certain amount of money set aside to make this game, to release it then and there, and then you were done, you move on to the next one. But now future is now old, man. So now, not towards you, but just
in general.
And so now these companies want you to continuously keep playing the same game for X amount of time.
Yeah.
So when you want to introduce new things, where does that money come? Nobody's continuously buying the game. They're still playing the one game that they bought. That's where this comes in. And sure, yes, that's the necessary evil of what you're talking about with the microtransactions. Because all in all, like, if the words that are being said right here, if this is just exactly what they do, I am personally fine with that. Because if they announce, or if they do like, okay, $10 battle pass, like once every half year or something, brand new cosmetics, brand new things that weren't in the base game, that's better than a $20 t-shirt.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you, but kind of laying everything out rather than just kind of, I'm being devil's advocate, I guess, maybe.
No, I guess the point where we would disagree is whether or not it has to be this way. Because you're correct. Because I think you're correct on, like, for example, Insurgency Sandstorm has microtransactions.
Yeah.
Insurgency Sandstorm is a small, niche, hyper-realistic shooter that's published by a small publisher and made by a small developer, and they used to do mods, right? So I dislike that because I wish all these cool microtransactions I wish these cosmetics I could just get. But I understand why. So if I were to review the game, I wouldn't hold it to the game's detriment, because this is a small studio. So I'm assuming that this is better for their financials, because we know how skinny those are in the games industry. Big giant AAA corporations, I just don't give that same leeway to. Partially because if this is a requirement for their business to be ran, well, then I think they got there on their own, because they put all their eggs into Call of Duty and Candy Crush, and now they don't know what else to do.
World of Warcraft.
And World of Warcraft, yeah. So I guess that's where I am. And I don't know. I don't like. I don't know. I just don't like the and I'm not saying I'm not saying anybody here is doing this, but I don't like the regulating cosmetics as if they're not as important, because I think a lot of people, if if you're in a game and you can customize your character, people love to do that, you know? So whether it's just costumes or, you know, the way your character looks or stuff like that, it sucks that that has been monetized now, where if you have a game where you can just do whatever you want with your character, you know, something like Cyberpunk, it's almost a rarity now. Because every other game, it's like that is monetized somehow, and that's just too bad because that's not how it always was, and I hate that's the new normal. So yeah, back to my first point. I think we're all happy they're not doing loot boxes. Because that's a microtransaction, but that's a whole nother topic. But my question for Activision Blizzard would be, okay, is this because you have to have it there for a sustainable business, or is it just too profitable to pass up? Because if it's option 2, then you're just greedy, and I dislike that, because the games industry could be better without that. So that's but I say that fully understanding that there are companies where it is a financial necessity to keep people in jobs and stuff like that. And so I'm not going to poo-poo every single time.
To roll back a little bit, it's interesting you bring up player retention.
Yeah.
Because you know what company has cracked the code on player retention? Paradox Interactive. Because there is a common joke in the Europe Universalis, Crusader Kings subreddits where it's, okay, I've put 800 hours into this game. I think I beat the tutorial. I don't know what they did with their games. I don't know what little digital cocaine they slipped in there, but it keeps players coming back.
Paradox Interactive is an interesting example because
it's a good example. It's a very good example too.
Yeah, because the way that they release games, it feels like it's 2005. Feels like it's 2000. They release a game, they release DLC, right? Now, there are controversies about how much that DLC costs, you know? It seems like every time Paradox Interactive releases a DLC, it's mostly negative because of the price. So there's a discussion to be had there.
And that's...
But
when you break down into the discussion about the cost,
sure,
a lot of it comes down to players being like, well, this should have been in the base game.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, well... They didn't have that idea because they got this idea from a mod that somebody made, and they're like, hey, we're going to turn that into a feature.
Yeah. The point I was trying to build to was Paradox Interactive has that sustainable business model.
Yeah.
Now, they also release niche games for a niche audience. So they're in a different, they operate in a different market. My question is, can the rest of the games industry not operate?
Similarly?
Is the general market really not big enough that the rest of the industry can't operate like that? I don't think that's true. And I think if Activision Blizzard executives said it was, I think they'd be lying. But anyway, do you want to yell at me one more time, Richard?
No, I don't want to yell at you. I don't, you know.
Tear me down.
Capitalism, man.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel it's infecting my veins because I'm over here I hate the market being like this too, but the market dictates what it is, which sucks. But the only way to do it is to just simply. I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, it would be cool to see a game, and I guess we did. Elden Ring did that this year. It's just you start it up, press start, new game, continue. That's it.
Yeah,
nothing else. No banners, no nothing.
And it's sold, and it. Yeah. And Elden Ring is also a niche game, but it's not niche.
Not anymore. 18 million, baby.
Yeah, it's sold big time, and we're going to have Thor Ragnarok that's going to release, and that's going to be something similar where it's just...
You mean God of War Ragnarok? Not Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I said Thor Ragnarok.
What the hell is your problem?
Oh, God. Yeah, God of War Ragnarok. So yeah. Connor, did you...
No, you said that they release niche games. I'm like, they've had to release a larger mainline title. So I looked through it. It's like niche game.
I'm talking about it. Everyone loves Murakumo on Xbox.
Is that Paradox title?
Sorry, from sophomore. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, Paradox Interactive.
Paradox Interactive.
Yeah,
Paradox is niche.
Yeah, Paradox is if this game sells more than 100 copies... We're canceling development. We only want games that sell less than 100 copies. Only 2 dudes play. That's it.
I think their biggest title is City Skylines.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
which is so. You know, can we talk about this real quick? If I were to start a development team, you know what I would do? I would take all these games I'd take The Sims,
the mid 2000s,
and I'd call it The Gyms, and it'd be the same exact game, but it's just
better.
But it's just better because EA is not my publisher. I would take football and I would do Pro Football 2022, right? Starring Baron Bodgers, right? And Byler Burry, right? These are professional football players. The point is, I'm jacking these games that are coming from publishers that have ruined them and make them better. That's what City Skylines was they were like, you know what? Yeah, fucked up SimCity.
We're gonna take SimCity.
We're gonna do it better.
Screw you! I'm making my home SimCity with blackjack and hookers.
It's never worked with baseball and football.
No,
though.
it hasn't. Yeah, because you know it's casual markets, which is fine, and you want your logo and the player's name.
Yep.
That's what matters.
Yeah, it's a backbreaker on PS3. Didn't have any football players. You know, all sports, all pro football. 2K8 had legacy players. John Elway, Jerry Rice. They had all the old players, but
they didn't have any of the concurrent ones. Okay.
Cared.
Richard,
what's up?
What's going on with this modding thing? What the hell? What the hell's going on?
So Modder over here at Nexus Mods uploaded a mod to remove pride flags from the Spider-Man PC, the Spider-Man Remastered for PC, which, oh my God, we're doing it again. Do the thing.
I like
there we go.
Richard, you're going to be fired.
Yeah.
I'm going to fire you off air.
I'm firing myself, man. Like, I don't want to be around anymore. On August 15th, a Nexus mod user by the name of Mike Hawk uploaded a mod for Spider-Man that replaced all the pride flags with American flags. A similar mod appeared on Mod MD, a screenshot of which showed the description saying that the mod replaces, quote, the stupid pride flags to American flags and used tags Trump and Trump 2024.
Yeah.
Both mods were taken down by their respective sites. Nexus Mods released a pretty strong statement saying in part, I read the whole statement, by the way, beautiful statement.
Very
beautiful
good.
Statement. Quote, to address the banning, the mod was uploaded by a sock puppet account. It was very clearly done deliberately to be a troll mod. The fact the user needed to make a sock puppet like a coward to upload the mod showed their intent to troll and that they knew it would not be allowed. Had they not been a coward and had they used their main account instead, we would have simply removed the mod and told them that we did not want to host it, only banning them if they re-uploaded it again after being fairly warned. The creation of the sock puppet removed any doubt and made it a very easy decision for us. Both the sock puppet account and the user's main account have been banned, unquote. Nexus also said that they are for inclusivity and diversity, and that if their banning violated some moral code of conduct for business that a user might have, they can delete their account.
Yeah. I was fine with this. I think this was pretty transparent. I think, it's one of those things where people forget that the First Amendment exists, but that doesn't mean that a private company has to respect your right to say whatever you want or do whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I think this is fine. I guess I wanted to bring it up because I saw it in a lot of places and I thought it was interesting. And I also just don't get what kind of problem people could have with pride flags being in a game. Clearly, this was a troll, but the trolling came from a real place, right? This isn't somebody who's an ally who's like, I have an idea. This will be funny. Like, clearly, that's not what's going on. So it's like, what's the issue with stuff like this? And
bigotry.
That pretty much nails it. But because this kind of stuff happens where a character in a game is black and it's like people have a problem with it and it's confusing. Hades was really diverse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to overstate how big of a crowd that is, right? It's 5 dudes from 4chan that make noise and then 1,000 people are talking about that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what's the real problem here is just a few morons on the internet, right? But when enough people talk about it, it seems like, holy shit, there's a bajillion people who have a problem with this, but that's really not the case. So you have to be careful in that respect. But I saw pretty much universal, like...
Cool, thanks.
Universal approval of this.
Yeah.
Also, the American flag is not an apolitical symbol. So if you think that like a pride flag is somehow political, but the American flag is like neutral, you're wrong, to put it lightly, for gajillions of reasons. But
short answer, you're wrong. Long answer, you're really fucking wrong.
You're extremely wrong. You're wrong. Wrong would be like, whoa, that's incorrect. Bad.
You're bad and wrong. You're badong.
You're badong. Yes. Anyway, I guess that's all I want to say.
I'm gonna make a mod for the game and replace all the American flags with the American pride flags.
And there are people that have made, like, there's one there. I saw a mod that replaced all the American flags with Australian flags.
Yeah,
sick.
So yeah, it's like whatever.
They also inverted the game.
Right.
So you can be authentically Australian.
That's how things exist down there.
Yeah.
Right? So, bounce passes are really difficult in basketball. You know, that's why nobody from Australia plays basketball, because you shoot and it just disappears.
It just goes up.
Yeah, it just goes up. But well, I was gonna get somewhere. Oh, but clearly this was done to troll.
It's
right?
it's got so much trouble for nothing. Like having played Spider-Man Remastered, and I don't mean this as a knock or anything, but it's just the pride flags that are in there can be visually seen in like microseconds. Like you're too busy swinging around the damn city.
Unless
like,
they're a neat detail.
It's great that they're there. Yeah.
Unless you're RP walking around the streets,
right,
you're not going to see them very
like,
much.
Man, like you have a problem if you're like, what is that? What? And you stop, go over there. I'm going to do something about this. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Yep. Delete your account.
Yeah.
Or get banned.
They said that so in the kindest, most forceful way, in the like full.
Yeah.
Like,
and they said that like, we're for inclusivity and diversity and all that stuff, which is like saying we're for water and oxygen. It's like, okay, I don't understand how. But anyway, Connor, you look like you were about to talk.
No, yes, but no, it's fine. We'll move past it.
just get mad at dumb people. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Let's do the tidbits. A man discusses the news, but not like the big news, the little news. Little bit. This is the tidbits.
I'll have you know, mister, I'm more than just tidbits, okay?
I know.
I got NPDs as well, all right?
No, dude, you are my... If we were in a heist... We're in a heist movie. I know this is going to hold up tidbits by like 10 minutes, but I'm going somewhere funny with this, I think.
Fine.
If we were in a heist movie and we were hacking into the mainframe at a bank or something, and they're like, oh, shit. Part of this code is a factoid about video games from 1987. I don't know the answer. the camera would pan to me, and I would look into the camera, and I'd say,
I know a guy.
And then they would be like, your phone would ring.
I'm at work.
Yeah. What the fuck do you want? Oh yeah, let me look it up real quick.
I've got a customer here. The wall panel fell on me again.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on hold. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, I still don't have a NCAA 10. Sorry.
I've been looking.
I appreciate
it.
Dude,
someone brought in a PS3 copy the other day, and I audibly like slammed the table. I was like, fuck. Anyways. Gravity Rush might be getting a live action movie. I'm very excited about this. I hope it's true. According to Deadline, PlayStation Productions has teamed up with Scott Free Productions to work on a Gravity Rush movie. Anna Mastro has been tapped to direct the project, while Emily Jerome is said to be the scriptwriter of the movie. Currently, further details on which companies might distribute or publish Gravity Rush have yet to come about. I've said it already, but I love this. Gravity Rush is a very, very fun game, and I think it could be a very cool movie as well, if done correctly. But also, just in general, a lot of franchises could have a very nice second life as a different medium.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, okay. like Gravity Rush is a very good game. Not a lot of people bought it. Unfortunately, it's very underrated. But I think maybe if it was done in a different sort of medium, it might, grab hold there.
Okay.
Which is kind of like, I mean, I know, like, for instance, Last of Us is already very popular.
Yes.
But the live action show is to get the people who don't play video games, who want to tell that exact same story to the people who don't know about Last of Us as a video game. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
I've actually never thought
you're
of
looking
that.
at me like I'm fucking
No, because I think that's really interesting. I never thought that IPs could transition and be different, but I'm actually trying to think of an example, but I can't think of one where it was this and now it's this and it's really good but different now. I can't think of an example, but I think that's an interesting idea because I think that could be a future for a lot of different game franchises and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, not everything's hit and miss. Like, I mean, Game of Thrones struggles to be either a game like...
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I don't either.
Yeah.
I just said it and I don't know why. Anyways,
it was a very popular TV show, guys. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, it ended after like 2014. That was the final.
No, it had several seasons. What are you guys talking about?
Walking Dead is one. Like Walking Dead was able to
that is correct.
Seamlessly transition between like comics, video game, etc.
And I think I would argue, even though I haven't seen a lot of them, I don't think it's crazy to argue that the Walking Dead, that after like season 4 or 5 of the TV show, the video games were like the better part of that franchise.
Or the canon.
Because the TV show kind of got silly and weird and dumb and people kept dying, but it was like whatever. But maybe people disagree. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so Walking Dead might be a good example.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure there's others, but I just, Anyways. This has happened several times in the past decade, but we got another new way to order food, guys.
Ooh.
Popeyes launched its own Twitch channel that streams most of the day, where you can place an actual order in the chat menu for some Popeyes foods. Using specific chat commands, you can type what you want into the stream's chat. The bots involved in the stream will then use that to redirect your browser to the Popeyes website, and a pre-filled cart based on what you want will appear. Judging by old videos on the company's Twitch page, the Twitch stream is live between 5 and 8 hours a day. Wingstop did something similar a couple years back as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know there's another company that did something like that as well, but I think it was one of the pizza companies. But
I'm surprised Wendy's doesn't have a Twitch stream that's just them shitting on other companies.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably possible. Can I say something about Wingstop real quick?
No.
So I have learned that the best wings come from places that don't advertise that they have wings, right?
Yeah.
If you show up to a place and you're like, oh, they have wings on the menu, that's weird, and you get those wings, those are going to be great. There's a pizza place called Oregano's.
Yeah.
Have you ever had Oregano's wings?
No, I never even knew they had wings.
They're really good.
Your socks off.
Yeah.
They will. It's change your world.
I just go for the unlimited pasta,
which is good. Don't get me wrong. But it'll change your life. But then, like, you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's like McDonald's wings.
Yeah, you're correct.
It's like fast food wings. It's not that good. But yeah, so there's a pro tip: if you have an Oregano's in your area, get their wings.
Oregano.
What's next?
Well, this relates to one of our other stories, but Lord of the Rings content may no longer be coming to Multiverses, the very popular free-to-play game recently. Before Multiverses was announced, there was a leaked photo showing all the characters, including Gandalf, and of course more leaked files after that essentially confirmed his presence along with stages based off of the Lord of the Rings universe. After the beta release, Gandalf and Lord of the Rings content is nowhere to be found. Data miners have noticed that all the references and content regarding Lord of the Rings is now just missing. And so now everybody is theorizing that this may be possible. This may be possible because of the rights being thrown around between Embracer and Warner Bros.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah.
I actually had a question. This is going to be interesting.
It better be.
Now, you've never seen Lord of the Rings, right?
I've seen Lord of the Rings 1 and 2, Fellowship and Two Towers.
Oh, okay. You've seen Fellowship and Two Towers. Okay. I was going to say, do you know who Gandalf is?
Yeah.
Okay, but you've seen Fellowship and Two Towers. Okay.
Dude who's at the top of the eyeball.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I know that's Sauron,
okay? You should have said, I know that's Sauerman, okay? I know that's Sauerman. Yeah, okay. All right, sorry. Okay, you just haven't seen Return of the King.
Yeah, I just haven't seen Return of the King.
Okay, which we're going to have to sit you down one day.
I don't have time.
Make time. It's Return of the King.
What do I need, like 3.5 weeks to watch the whole thing?
Something like that. Yeah.
No, that's just the ending.
That's just the ending. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay. All right. That was all tidbits. I don't have any more tidbits. I got
Well, I added a tidbit in there.
okay. Go ahead.
Tyler's tidbit.
Tyler tidbit.
Do we need our own little...
Tyler's bits.
Oh, jeez. We can't keep making that joke. That's a joke we made a bajillion times. Microsoft paid
still funny to me.
$600,000 to get Cooking Simulator on Game Pass.
That's interesting. I think that could be a story itself.
So this is according to a filing by Big Cheese Studio, which is the developer, which was translated by Twisted Voxel. So, and then I went to Twisted Voxel. So I saw the story on Eurogamer, followed it to Twisted Voxel. On Twisted Voxel, they listed the documents, but they didn't list how they translated it. Now, the person that wrote the story could be fluent in Polish because the documents were in Polish because I think it's a Polish development studio. But I don't know. But still, that number is interesting because that's $600,000 for Cooking Simulator, which lots of people love it. I'm sure it's a good game. I don't mean to poo-poo it, but I imagine big AAA games like, well, Activision they bought Bethesda. So, but I'm trying to think of like another example here. Maybe there isn't another example.
What example are you trying to?
AAA games that they don't own that are on Game Pass. Maybe Ubisoft. Is Ubisoft stuff on Game Pass?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I wonder.
All the Yakuza games are on Game Pass.
Okay, so if Cooking Simulator gets $600,000, what do you think Yakuza gets for putting their games out there? You know, I imagine it's got to be a little bit more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you look at how many games. So this is actually really. I should have thought of this before the podcast. This is actually really interesting now because, damn, I should have done this before. Because if you looked at the games on Game Pass right now, a lot of them are probably underneath the Microsoft umbrella. So
in some way, shape, or form.
So I'm assuming that they're not paying for those because they're under the umbrella already.
Right. You also bring up a good question that I want to ask, particularly because Death Stranding is coming to the PC Game Pass. The directors could have Death Stranding PC. Yeah. And Sony just came out and said that they had nothing to do with that deal. So it was 505 Games and Microsoft. So how much is Microsoft paying 505 Games for Death Stranding on PC?
Is Control? Is Remedy stuff on there? Oh, and Alan Wake was on there, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. All right. So I would assume Control and Death Stranding would probably want more than $600K.
Yeah.
Especially because they're newer, they're, whatever. So... yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
And Microsoft's over here trying to blame Sony for sniping.
Yeah, and they're
stuff
over here
coming to Game Pass, which is
so. I think if you did the math in your head, I wonder how close it would be if you looked at Game Pass subscribers, how much they're paying per month, and
loads of money.
I think Microsoft is still bleeding money, but it may not be like freaking.
They're not
the Black Knight from
They're not making a profit on Game Pass.
No way.
They are hemorrhaging
the Holy Grail, you know. I'm invincible. Like they're not that guy, but
they're hemorrhaging money with Game Pass, but they can afford to do that.
Yeah,
because
which is still unsustainable.
You have to remember, Microsoft is a $2 trillion company.
Yes, but they're not going to want to bleed money forever. Like at some point, Spency's going to step in and say, "All right, it's time for us to time for us to shore up, fellas. Figure this out."
I don't know. I think this is their future.
Oh,
their future plan, and again, they have every other thing that Microsoft produces to sustain this, so they can keep.
So you think they can almost like a console?
Yeah,
like they can sell Game Pass at a loss,
absolutely,
and make up and buff it out in other places.
Right,
that's an interesting,
particularly hardware,
and that's something that Sony will never be able to do because Sony doesn't have the same infrastructure that Microsoft does.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
because you have to remember also that combined Sony and Nintendo are only about a $3 million company.
There's no. There's no way they're only...
Or 300 million. Sorry, 300 million.
Even that, really?
Yes, because...
Sony or PlayStation? I would think Sony's way more than 300 million.
I think it might be Sony Entertainment. Like the gaming division.
Oh, the division. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Okay, I would imagine they're more than that, but we can
look up the numbers
because that's Tomb Raider. I mean,
that is.
So that's got to be more than that. But I know the point you're trying to get to, so it's essentially fine. But what I was gonna
well, regardless, because I just saw it. Sony as a whole is 1 trillion.
okay.
But that's including, like, of course, all their other stuff. And I'm including everything else from Microsoft. But Microsoft really has 2 divisions. Windows and Windows products and Xbox.
Yeah, sure.
And they can just let money flow out of Xbox because every company in the world uses some version of Office. Every company in the world uses some version of Windows. Every company in the world uses some server settings from Microsoft.
Maybe I think we figured it out between last week and this week. I think you're right. And I think we have it figured out. I think Nintendo...
I've been saying this for a long time. You're just catching up.
No, hey. This is my show. I'm the star. No, I'm just kidding.
The true colors come out.
That's the cold open. So no.
Here's what happened. You walked in. You're fired.
Hot dog.
Listen here, hot dog. You walked in and you're fired. Get out of my sight. Oh geez, now we're just gonna be quoting movies. I want to get back to the original point.
And then we got to get back to tidbits.
So Nintendo's whatever.
Nintendo's doing their own thing.
The spectrum. Nintendo lives on its own planet. They sell Kirby games. PlayStation's in the middle. They do a little bit of what Xbox does. They do a little bit of what Nintendo does. They create a sustainable business there. They're a hybrid. Xbox is on the free love, man. They like play your games wherever you want, man. Like they're way over there.
They're essentially selling 2 consoles. They're selling the Xbox, and yes, there's the Series S and X, and that's 2 consoles. But they have the Xbox brand, and now they have Game Pass
service,
and that's their 2 consoles that they're selling.
And as long as they're going to be bleeding money, but as long as they are making money elsewhere,
they can afford to just let it bleed.
To let it bleed.
Yeah, which Windows is a necessity. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts. So that's gonna constantly
which is kind of terrifying. It's kind of a dystopian novel idea. One company owns like all the computers on Earth. But no offense to Mac, but you ain't gaming on a Mac, so
no. And,
actually, offense to Mac. Fuck Mac.
and that's not it. And I don't think that's I don't think Windows is their biggest revenue source. I think it's eclipsed by Office because Office is ubiquitous with business, and also them selling servers and like server space and maintaining servers for people.
Yep. And didn't PlayStation picked Xbox's architecture for the stuff that it's working on, didn't they? Wasn't there?
Oh yeah, there was
a
some sort of partnership.
Yeah, because Google has their own architecture. Xbox, Microsoft has theirs, and I thought Sony went with that. Was a story from a long time ago. What's the other tidbits?
Tidbits. Oh right,
NPDs.
NPDs, not tidbits.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Come on, man.
Whew. All right.
Okay. Are we ready? Yes. Oh yeah, we don't have a bumper for it.
No. I know we need to have a bumper. It's all right. Tidbits.
Yeah, there you go.
NPDs.
July 2022.
Yeah.
July 2022. I didn't even have to say it. So
there's the door.
Yeah.
There's the door. Just kidding.
Get out of my sight. July 2022 consumer spending across video game hardware, content, and accessories fell 9% when compared to a year ago to $4.18 billion. The total is just slightly lower than the $4.19 billion generated in July 2020. Forgot to mention Matt Piscatella, et cetera, et cetera. Year-to-date spending has reached $30.5 billion, a 10% decline when compared to the same period in 2021. Subscription spending gains has not been able to offset declines in other content segments.
Okay. Interesting.
2022 consumer spending on video games returned to near 2020 levels in July after having trailed that year's pace since April. Video game hardware dollar sales increased by 12% when compared to a year ago to $362 million. Year-to-date spending on video game hardware has fallen 7% to $2.5 billion. PlayStation 5 led the market in hardware spending during both July and 2022 year-to-date, while Switch sold the most units in both time periods.
So is hardware spending just money on the hardware?
Consumer spending on hardware.
Yeah, because 5 PlayStation 5s is gonna cost more than 5 Switches.
Yes.
So that's the interesting.
So that's it. Like Switch is selling more compared to how much the PS5 costs.
Right. Makes sense.
PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series dollar sales each experienced double-digit percentage growth when compared to a year ago. That's because you can find them now. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Multiverses was July's best-selling video game. I'll put that in quotes because it's a free-to-play game. Driven by sales of Multiverses founders, PAX, Warner Brothers published 2 of the top 3 best-selling games of July, with Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga also ranking 3rd. It's a great game if you ever play it. It's very good. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 debuted as the 4th best-selling game of July, despite digital sales not being included in the ranked reporting. Nintendo loves to do that. Nintendo does not release digital numbers. They only release physical numbers.
That's so weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. Ask Matt when he's on.
We will next week. And also, I'm going to beat him in baseball. No hitter. Just kidding. It's an MLB. He plays
the show all the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
He beat me because I'm not very good. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
It also ranked as the best-selling game of July on Nintendo Switch, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Okay.
Digimon Survive was July's other new release, placing among the top 20 bestsellers, ranking 8th overall, despite only having 2 days in the market during the tracking period. That's impressive.
Wow.
Spending on video game accessories fell 22% in July when compared to a year ago to $148 million. A drop in gamepad spending drove the decline. Year-to-date video game accessory spending was 15% lower when compared to a year ago at $1.2 billion. That's all for NPDs.
Okay. Yep.
It sounds like, there's a lot of there's not but remember we just went through 2 years of COVID where everybody was doing nothing.
And we were all waiting for this.
Yeah.
We were waiting for things to buffer out, to go back down, to return to some kind of
normal.
Obviously, video games are getting more and more profitable over the past decade, and they're going to continue. But everybody staying at home,
sure,
that was a rocket. And
it's dumb because it's like there was an article the other day. It's like, Target's profit fell 90%. It's like, shit. It's like people aren't spending money. And then you read an article. It's like, oh no, they just went back down to what it was before COVID.
Sure, yeah.
Like, this is normal. You fucking
reverted
idiots.
to the mean. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Reverted to the mean. Yeah. So, as is expected. Okay. Follow us. Oh, yep.
Amendment to my statement. I said million, but in my brain, I kept saying billion. It is together. They are 300 billion.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes,
because I was like, that would be crazy if
Square Enix, the number for Sony's net worth or net income being 1 trillion. That's in yen.
Oh, okay.
So it's only about $10 billion.
And where are you getting these numbers from?
Google.
Okay, I'll take that.
The good Google.
The good Google.
Yeah, okay. The good Google.
The only thing Google does good.
Yeah.
Besides being the number one with 100 zeros behind it.
Fucking nerd.
Sorry.
Okay, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
I'll be better.
Are water whales just normal whales?